Certainly one of the biggest surprises in the world of cartoons was Bluey's puppy appearing in the episode Surprise. But tell me, who would you prefer as the father of the newest member of the Healer family, Mackenzie or Jean-Luc? Get ready, because today you'll decide who's the perfect match for the world's most famous blue dog, Blue Kinsey couple or Blue Luke couple. To decide who's the best future boyfriend for Bluey, we need to consider some important points. So, you'll see the main criteria that can be evaluated based on what the series has shown us so far. Are you ready? Friendship time. The first point we have to consider when imagining which of the two, Mackenzie or Jean-Luc, should be chosen as the future mate of the blue pup is how long the friendship has existed between them. In Mackenzie's case, we know he hasn't been friends with Bluey since they were babies, like Judo, Coco, and Snickers. This is mainly because his family is not Australian, but from New Zealand, and they moved to Healer's country when Mackenzie was already grown up. Although we're not sure how long ago that was, we know it was after the episode of abandonment at the playground. This probably happened shortly before the start of the Bluey series. In fact, along with Rusty, Mackenzie was one of the first 4 characters in the show, along with Bandit and the protagonist. So, they've been friends for some years for sure. In Jean-Luc's case, we can say that the friendship between the little purple Labrador and the blue pup is much more recent, because the puppy only appeared more than 30 episodes after his rival. Even so, we see that the moments in the relationship with Bluey were very strong and intense, and it marked the character so much that even after a long time, halfway through the second season, the little pup drew them together, showing that the friendship remained strong between them. Similarly, when they meet again many years later, we see that the joy on their faces and the tales of the two characters is very evident. Mackenzie has been friends with Bluey for a longer time, so point for him. Mackenzie 1, Jean-Luc 0. Similar tastes. We know Bluey has very unique tastes, as evidenced by her favorite animals being bats, which is very unusual. In the cinema episode, we see that the blue pup ended up being influenced by Mackenzie to watch the movie Chucky Chimp, since he had watched it and told her he wasn't scared. But unlike her friend, she was quite scared, especially during the storm scene. Another time we see them having different opinions is in the episode where the kids are playing, but Bluey keeps inventing new rules and details all the time, which annoys the little border collie, who almost gives up playing. Another very different point between the two is seen in the Creek episode, where Bluey doesn't want to enter the bush with Bandit and Bingo, and Mackenzie pulls her so she can go with them. Contrary to all this, Jean-Luc and Bluey have an almost immediate harmony. The proof of this is that even without understanding each other, as they speak different languages, they manage to build a hut together, plant a tree that grows and becomes very beautiful years later, and hunt a wild pig named Bandit, managing to devise a plan and execute it without knowing each other's language. This shows that the two characters are in complete harmony and have very similar tastes for sure. So, in this point, Jean-Luc has an advantage over Mackenzie. Mackenzie 1, Jean-Luc 1. Since we're talking about similar tastes, surely your taste in cartoons is very similar to ours, since you're in this video. If you like cartoons like I do, have you ever thought about being able to stop drawing like this and start drawing like a professional master in just a few days with a pencil? That's exactly what's happening to those who are learning to draw with the GOAT, Nolan Clark, who has already taught over 3 million people how to draw like a master. This transformation happens simply by learning a simple secret that will make your drawing so incredible that everyone will be amazed at your skill. Who knows, you might even become the next creator of a cartoon as famous as Bluey. Coexistence. As we mentioned, neither of the two candidates for Bluey's future love is Australian by birth. However, in this aspect, Jean-Luc is a little behind because he is a native of Canada, which is why he speaks French. Despite this, everything indicates that he and his parents really live in Australia. After all, it wouldn't make sense to travel 9,700 miles just to pitch a tent in a park, right? Even so, it's clear that the city he resides in is not Brisbane. On the other hand, Bluey and Mackenzie have practically daily interaction since they study in the same class. Furthermore, even when they're not at school, we see that they often play together, as seen in the Creek episode. In addition to that, we see the two friends playing together in many different moments throughout the series, with Mackenzie probably being the boy Bluey plays with the most throughout the series. So, in this aspect, we have to admit that Mackenzie has an advantage over his rival, mainly because his house is so close to Bluey's house, it's so close that you can walk there. Mackenzie 2, Jean-Luc 1. Relationship issues. Now, let's talk about a slightly more complex point. This is because what we can talk about here is only what the series has shown us so far. Despite being a great friend and classmate, we know that Bluey and Mackenzie have a little rivalry, as seen in the Barky Boats episode. In addition to talking together in class, we see that they become competitive to the point of sticking out their tongues at each other several times, and each of them wanting their friend to be better than the other. Although, in the end, it all ends with a nice hug. But apart from that, speaking only about Mackenzie himself, in the space episode, we see that he has a childhood trauma that happened when he was much younger than he is now. This made him, during playtime with Jack and Rusty, literally want to be abandoned by his friends. Of course, this makes coexistence more difficult between him and the people he interacts with, which can directly affect his future relationships, like a possible relationship with Bluey. This is because, despite Calypso's great advice, we can't say with 100% certainty that the little dog's trauma has really been overcome. In Jean-Luc's case, little or almost nothing can be said about his mindset, but from what little we see throughout the only episode he appears in, his family seems to take good care of him, and he doesn't seem to have any traumas that could negatively influence a possible relationship with the blue pup. So, for lack of more information, Jean-Luc scores another point in this aspect. Mackenzie 2, Jean-Luc 2. Family proximity. Due to their close proximity and having children who study at the same school, the show makes it clear that Mackenzie's and Bluey's families are close. Mackenzie's parents are present at the barbecue promoted between the close families. Furthermore, on the day of the rugby match between the Australian and New Zealand teams, we see that the Border Collie family goes to the Healer's house just to tease them in a friendly manner. In addition to that, we see Bandit going to the friend's house to exchange curries, which is a friendly gesture. Speaking only about Mackenzie, we can also see that besides being Bluey's friend, the black and white pup is also close to Bingo. In fact, he is very happy when she returns to play with the group in the Spy Game episode. Besides participating in the short film that the Healer family and some friends made to cheer up Bingo, who was in the hospital. On the other hand, Jean-Luc's family has no proximity to the Healers. This is clear when Chili mentions that she saw them packing to leave in the camping episode, indicating that they didn't even talk or anything like that. Not that they're bad people, it really seems like they just haven't had a chance to get to know each other better, just like their kids have. All of this really makes Mackenzie inevitably the winner of this point too, since he spends much more time with Bluey. Mackenzie 3, Jean-Luc 3. Bluey's feelings. Our next and final criterion is the most important of all, so it will have a weight of 2 points in the end. This means that either Jean-Luc can turn the tables, or Mackenzie will be the real champion of this dispute for the heart of the little blue healer. The first time we officially see Mackenzie in Bluey's series was in the Fruit Bat episode. This is because he was the only friend of the blue pup who appeared in her dreams. And usually when we dream about someone, it's because we think a lot about that person. At the same time, when a group of puppies is playing circus and Coco says she wants to be Mackenzie's wife, we see that this didn't bother Bluey at all. In fact, she probably didn't even stop to think about it at that moment. But when Bluey says she'll leave forever in the Sign episode, Mackenzie is one of the ones who is most scared by the information and hugs her along with all the classmates, and they start howling in sadness. Which really shows that the two have feelings for each other, which will only grow over the years, as Calypso explained. Similarly, we can say that Bluey's feelings towards Jean-Luc are also very intense. Even though they've only known each other for a short time, the moments they spent together were very memorable, since Bluey even went to get Jean-Luc from his tent to play and took him by the hand. They also spent almost the entire day together, which made their bond very close even after a few days. Upon discovering that she wouldn't see her new friend, and perhaps future boyfriend, anymore, the blue pup sadly retreats to the place where the two had planted the little seed together, which makes sense, as they had good memories there. And in that same place, they reunite years later, now teenagers and much more mature. So on this point about Bluey's feelings, as it's something very personal to our protagonist, we from the channel will not define a winner. So it's up to you on the other side watching all of this. Who do you think Bluey has stronger feelings for, Mackenzie or Jean-Luc? To define the winner, we need you to put hashtag Mackenzie or hashtag Jean-Luc in the comments below, so we can determine our final score and find out who will likely be Bluey's future boyfriend. Since we really enjoy being with you, 2 videos from our channel are popping up for you. Choose one of the 2 and click on it, so we can spend more time together having fun. See you in the next video. Until then,